The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the quiet suburban neighborhood. The streets were lined with tall trees, their leaves rustling gently in the breeze. The houses here were big and beautiful, with wide lawns and neatly trimmed hedges. It was the kind of place where families dreamed of settling down, a safe, peaceful community with good schools and friendly neighbors. For a young couple, this neighborhood felt like the perfect place to start the next chapter of their lives. The couple had been saving for years, working hard to build a life together. They were both professionals in their early 30s, successful in their careers, and ready to take the next step. They wanted a home where they could raise a family, a place where their children could grow up surrounded by opportunity and happiness. After months of searching online, they'd finally found a house that seemed perfect. It had everything they were looking for: a spacious backyard, a modern kitchen, and plenty of room to grow. Excited, they reached out to a realtor to schedule a viewing. The realtor, a woman in her 50s, had been working in the area for years. She had a reputation for being knowledgeable and professional, and her name came up often in online reviews. When the couple contacted her, she seemed friendly enough over the phone. They arranged to meet at the house the following afternoon. The next day, the couple dressed nicely and drove to the neighborhood, their hearts full of hope. They parked their car and walked up to the house, where the realtor was waiting outside. She greeted them with a smile, but something about her demeanor felt off. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, and there was a stiffness in her posture that made the couple feel uneasy. "Welcome," she said, her voice a little too bright. "I'm so glad you could make it." The couple smiled back, trying to shake off the strange vibe. They introduced themselves and expressed how excited they were to see the house. But before they could take a step toward the front door, the realtor hesitated. "You know," she said, her tone shifting, "I just got a call from the sellers. They've decided to take the house off the market. It's no longer available." The couple exchanged a glance, confused. They had just spoken to her the day before, and there had been no mention of the house being under contract or off the market. They tried to hide their disappointment, but it was hard to ignore the sinking feeling in their chests. "Are you sure?" the husband asked. "We were really looking forward to seeing it." The realtor nodded quickly, avoiding eye contact. "Yes, I'm afraid so. These things happen all the time in real estate. The market is very unpredictable." The wife frowned, sensing something wasn't right. "Do you have any other properties you could show us? We're really interested in this neighborhood." The realtor hesitated again, her smile faltering. "Well, there's not much available right now, but I'll keep an eye out and let you know if anything comes up." The couple thanked her and walked back to their car, feeling deflated. As they drove away, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The realtor's behavior had been strange, and her excuses didn't add up. They decided to give her the benefit of the doubt, though, and assumed it was just bad timing. Over the next few days, they reached out to the realtor again, asking about other houses in the area. Each time, she had a new excuse. One house was already under contract, another was too expensive for their budget, and a third was not a good fit. The couple grew more and more frustrated. They had done their research and knew there were plenty of homes available in the neighborhood. Why was the realtor making it so difficult for them to see any of them? One evening, as they sat in their small apartment discussing the situation, the wife voiced what they had both been thinking. "Do you think she's treating us this way because of who we are?" The husband sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't want to jump to conclusions, but it's hard not to wonder. We've been polite, professional, and ready to buy. What else could it be?" They decided to test their theory. The next day, they asked a friend, a white colleague from work, to contact the same realtor and inquire about the houses they had been denied. To their shock, the realtor was eager to help their friend. She scheduled viewings immediately and even offered to show additional properties that hadn't been mentioned to the couple. When the couple heard this, their hearts sank. It was clear now that the realtor's behavior wasn't just bad luck or coincidence. She had been deliberately avoiding them, and the reason was painfully obvious. They felt a mix of anger, sadness, and frustration. They had worked so hard to get to this point in their lives, only to be treated unfairly because of the color of their skin. But instead of letting the situation defeat them, the couple made a decision. They weren't going to let one person's prejudice stand in the way of their dreams. They were determined to find a way to not only buy a home in that neighborhood, but also to make sure no one else would have to go through what they did. Little did they know, their journey was just beginning, and the realtor who thought she could keep them out was about to learn a hard lesson about fairness, equality, and the power of perseverance. After the disappointing encounter with the realtor, the couple couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. They replayed the conversation in their minds, analyzing every word and gesture. The more they thought about it, the more convinced they became that the realtor's behavior wasn't just a coincidence. They had faced subtle discrimination before, but this felt different. This was about their dream home, their future, and it hurt deeply. Determined to get to the bottom of it, they decided to take a closer look at the situation. They started by researching the neighborhood and the real estate market. They discovered that several houses they had asked about were still listed as available online. This only confirmed their suspicions. The realtor had been lying to them. The couple talked late into the night, trying to figure out what to do next. They didn't want to jump to conclusions, but they also couldn't ignore the signs. They decided to test their theory one more time. This time, they asked a close friend, a white coworker, to contact the same realtor and inquire about the same houses they had been denied. The friend agreed to help, and the next day they made the call. The realtor answered cheerfully, eager to assist. She scheduled a viewing for the very next afternoon and even suggested a few other properties that might be a better fit. The friend recorded the conversation just in case. When the couple heard the recording, their hearts sank. The realtor's tone was completely different, warm, welcoming, and enthusiastic. She had no problem showing the same houses to their friend that she had refused to show them. It was clear now that her excuses had nothing to do with the houses being unavailable or out of their budget. It was about them. The couple felt a mix of emotions, anger, frustration, and sadness. They had worked so hard to get to this point in their lives, only to be treated unfairly because of who they were. But they also felt a sense of determination. They weren't going to let this setback define them. They were going to fight back, not just for themselves, but for anyone else who might face the same kind of discrimination. They decided to document everything. They gathered all the evidence they had, emails, phone records, and the recordings of the realtor's conversations with their friend. They wanted to make sure they had a solid case before taking any further action. They also reached out to a local fair housing organization for advice and support. The organization was shocked by what they heard. They had dealt with similar cases before, but they were always saddened by the fact that discrimination like this still existed. They offered to help the couple file a formal complaint with the local real estate board and the state housing authority. They'd also suggested reaching out to the media to raise awareness about the issue. The couple was hesitant at first. They didn't want to draw too much attention to themselves or make a big public fuss. But the more they thought about it, the more they realized that staying silent wouldn't solve anything. If they didn't speak up, the realtor might continue to treat others the same way. They decided to move forward with the complaint and agreed to share their story with a local news outlet. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. They met with the Fair Housing Organization to finalize their complaint. They gave interviews to reporters, sharing their experience in the hopes that it would inspire others to stand up against discrimination. They also continued their search for a home, determined not to let one person's prejudice derail their plans. As the story began to gain traction, the realtor started to feel the pressure. She received calls from the real estate board and the housing authority asking for her side of the story. She tried to defend herself, claiming that the couple had misunderstood her intentions. But the evidence was hard to ignore, and her excuses only made her look worse. The couple, meanwhile, felt a sense of relief. They knew they had done the right thing by speaking up. They also felt a renewed sense of hope. They had faced a difficult situation, but they had come out stronger on the other side. They were determined to find a home in that neighborhood, no matter what. One afternoon, as they were driving through the area, they'd noticed a for sale sign in front of a beautiful house. It wasn't one of the ones they had originally asked about, but it caught their eye. They decided to take a chance and contacted the seller directly, bypassing the realtor altogether. To their surprise, the seller was more than happy to show them the house. They arranged a viewing for the next day, and when they walked through the front door, they knew they had found their home. It was perfect, spacious, bright, and full of character. They could already imagine their future there. The seller, an elderly woman who had lived in the house for decades, was warm and welcoming. She didn't care about the color of their skin or where they came from. She just wanted her home to go to someone who would love it as much as she had. The couple made an offer that same day, and it was accepted. As they signed the paperwork, they felt a sense of triumph. They had faced discrimination and adversity, but they hadn't let it stop them. They had stood up for themselves and fought for what was right. And now, they were about to start a new chapter in their lives, in a home they could truly call their own. But their journey wasn't over yet. They knew there was still work to be done to ensure that no one else had to go through what they did. They were determined to use their experience to make a difference, not just for themselves, but for their future neighbors and community. With their dream home now within reach, the couple felt a mix of excitement and relief. They had faced a major obstacle, but they had overcome it with determination and courage. However, their journey wasn't over yet. They knew that the realtor's actions were part of a larger problem, and they wanted to make sure no one else had to go through what they did. They decided to take things a step further. The couple had always been resourceful and creative, and they'd put those skills to work. They came up with a bold plan, one that would not only expose the realtor's discrimination, but also send a powerful message about fairness and equality. They wanted to make sure that their story had a lasting impact, not just for themselves, but for their community. Their plan was simple but effective. They would create a fake profile of a wealthy white couple interested in buying multiple properties in the neighborhood. They would use this profile to contact the same realtor and see how she responded. If she treated the fake couple differently, they would have undeniable proof of her bias. The couple spent hours crafting the perfect profile. They created a professional-looking email address, complete with a fake name and backstory. They even borrowed photos from a friend's social media to make the profile seem more authentic. Once everything was ready, they sent an email to the realtor expressing interest in several properties, including the ones she had refused to show them. The response was almost immediate. The realtor replied with enthusiasm, offering to schedule viewings right away. She even suggested additional properties that she thought would be a great fit for the fake couple. The couple couldn't believe how differently she was treating them compared to how she had treated them in person. Over the next few days, the realtor went out of her way to accommodate the fake couple. She scheduled multiple viewings, offered detailed information about each property, and even provided tips on how to make a competitive offer. The couple recorded every interaction, making sure they had clear evidence of the realtor's double standards. When they had enough evidence, they decided to confront the realtor one last time. They arranged a meeting under the guise of finalizing a purchase agreement for one of the properties. The realtor arrived at the meeting, smiling and confident, unaware of what was about to happen. The couple began by asking a few general questions about the property, playing along as if they were serious buyers. Then, they dropped the bombshell. They revealed their true identities and showed her the recordings of her interactions with the fake couple. The realtor's face turned pale as she realized what was happening. "We just want to know why," the husband said calmly. "Why did you treat us so differently? What did we do to deserve this?" The realtor stammered, trying to come up with an excuse, but the evidence was undeniable. She had been caught red-handed, and there was no way to explain away her actions. She finally admitted that she had made a mistake and apologized, but her words rang hollow. The couple knew that an apology wasn't enough. They had been through too much to simply let it go. They decided to take their evidence to the local real estate board and the media. They wanted to make sure that the realtor's actions were exposed and that she faced consequences for her behavior. The real estate board was shocked by what they saw. They launched an immediate investigation into the realtor's practices, and the media picked up the story, spreading it far and wide. The couple's story resonated with people across the country, sparking a larger conversation about discrimination in housing and the need for change. As the story gained traction, the realtor's reputation took a hit. Clients began to distance themselves from her, and she lost several listings. She tried to defend herself, claiming that she had been misunderstood, but the evidence was too strong. She was eventually fined and suspended by the real estate board, a small but significant victory for the couple. For the couple, the experience was bittersweet. They were glad that they had stood up for themselves and exposed the realtor's discrimination, but they were also saddened by the fact that such behavior still existed. They knew that their fight wasn't over, and they were determined to keep pushing for change. In the meantime, they focused on their new home. They moved in and began to make it their own, painting the walls, arranging furniture, and planting flowers in the garden. It was a fresh start, a place where they could build the life they had always dreamed of. But they didn't stop there. They became active in their new community, joining local organizations and advocating for fair housing practices. They shared their story with anyone who would listen, hoping to inspire others to stand up against discrimination. They'd also reached out to other families who had faced similar challenges, offering support and encouragement. Their journey had been difficult, but it had also been empowering. They had faced adversity head-on and come out stronger on the other side. They had turned a negative experience into a force for good, and they were determined to keep making a difference. As they sat on their new porch one evening, watching the sun set over the neighborhood, they felt a sense of peace. They had found their home, not just in the physical sense, but in the community they had built around them. They knew that there was still work to be done, but they were ready for the challenge. Together, they had proven that no matter how difficult the journey, it was always worth fighting for what was right. With their new home now a reality, the couple felt a deep sense of accomplishment. They had faced discrimination head-on, stood up for their rights, and come out stronger on the other side. But their journey wasn't over yet. They knew that their fight against unfair treatment was bigger than just one realtor or one neighborhood. They wanted to make a lasting impact, not just for themselves, but for others who might face similar challenges. The couple had always been planners, and they put that skill to use once again. They sat down one evening and brainstormed ideas for how they could turn their experience into something positive. They wanted to create a ripple effect, one that would spread far beyond their own story. After much discussion, they came up with a bold and ambitious plan, one that would change the neighborhood and send a powerful message about equality and fairness. Their plan was simple but impactful. They decided to quietly purchase several properties in the neighborhood through anonymous LLCs. They had saved diligently over the years and had the financial means to make it happen. Their goal was to become the largest property owners in the area, giving them the power to shape the community in a way that reflected their values. Over the next few months, they worked tirelessly to make their plan a reality. They reached out to sellers directly, bypassing realtors altogether. They negotiated deals, signed contracts, and slowly but surely began to acquire properties. They were careful to keep their identities hidden, not wanting to draw attention to themselves or their plan. As they purchased each property, they felt a growing sense of pride. They were no longer just victims of discrimination, they were taking control of their future and the future of their community. They began to renovate the homes, turning them into beautiful modern spaces that would appeal to a wide range of families. They also made a point to keep the prices affordable, ensuring that people from all walks of life could afford to live in the neighborhood. Word began to spread about the new properties, and soon families started moving in. The neighborhood, once known for its exclusivity, began to transform into a vibrant, diverse community. The couple watched with satisfaction as their plan came to life, knowing that they were making a real difference. But their work didn't stop there. They wanted to ensure that the neighborhood remained inclusive and welcoming for everyone. They established a community center, a place where residents could come together, share ideas, and support one another. They organized events, from block parties to educational workshops, fostering a sense of unity and belonging. The couple also reached out to local schools and organizations, offering scholarships and grants to help families in need. They wanted to make sure that everyone, regardless of their background, had access to the opportunities they deserved. Their efforts didn't go unnoticed, and soon, the neighborhood became a model for diversity and inclusion. As the community grew and thrived, the couple couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. They had started their journey feeling hurt and frustrated, but they had turned those feelings into something positive. They had taken a negative experience and used it as fuel to create change, not just for themselves, but for others. One day, as they were walking through the neighborhood, they ran into the realtor who had once refused to show them homes. She looked different now, smaller, less confident. She approached them hesitantly, clearly unsure of what to say. "I heard about what you've been doing," she said quietly. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I was wrong." The couple nodded, accepting her apology but not letting it erase the past. They knew that her words were just that, words. Real change came from actions, and they had proven that through their own efforts. "We're not doing this to hurt anyone," the wife said calmly. "We're doing it to make sure that no one else has to go through what we did. This neighborhood belongs to everyone, and we're just making sure it stays that way." The realtor nodded, her eyes downcast. She had lost her place in the community, but the couple didn't feel any satisfaction in that. They had moved beyond anger and resentment, focusing instead on building a better future. As they continued their walk, the couple felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had faced adversity, but they had turned it into an opportunity to make a difference. They had created a community where everyone was welcome, a place where families could thrive and dreams could come true. But they knew their work wasn't finished. There were still challenges to face, still barriers to break down. They were ready for whatever came next, knowing that they had the strength and determination to keep pushing forward. As they reached their home, they paused for a moment, taking in the sight of their neighborhood. It was a place of hope, of possibility, of unity. And it was theirs, not just because they owned the properties, but because they had poured their hearts and souls into making it a better place. They smiled at each other, knowing that they had turned a difficult chapter in their lives into a story of triumph. And as they stepped inside, they felt a sense of peace, knowing that they had made a difference, not just for themselves, but for their community and for the future. The couple's efforts to transform the neighborhood had been successful beyond their wildest dreams. What was once a quiet, exclusive area had become a thriving, diverse community. Families from all walks of life were moving in, drawn by the welcoming atmosphere and the sense of belonging that the couple had worked so hard to create. But as the neighborhood grew, so did the challenges. Not everyone was happy with the changes. Some of the longtime residents, who had lived in the area for decades, felt uneasy about the rapid transformation. They worried that the character of the neighborhood was being lost, that it was becoming too crowded, too different. A few even voiced their concerns openly, expressing frustration at the couple's efforts to make the area more inclusive. The couple understood their concerns. Change can be difficult, especially when it happens quickly. But they also knew that their vision for the neighborhood was about more than just property values or aesthetics. It was about creating a place where everyone felt welcome, regardless of their background. They decided to address the issue head-on. They organized a community meeting, inviting all the residents to come together and share their thoughts. The turnout was impressive, with people from all corners of the neighborhood filling the community center. The atmosphere was tense at first, with some residents expressing their frustrations openly. "We've lived here for years," one man said, his voice tinged with anger. "This used to be a quiet, peaceful place. Now it feels like everything is changing too fast." The couple listened patiently, letting everyone have their say. They knew that the only way to move forward was to have an open, honest conversation. When it was their turn to speak, they stood up and addressed the crowd. "We understand how you feel," the husband began. "Change can be hard, and we respect that this neighborhood means a lot to all of you. But we also believe that a community is strongest when it's diverse and inclusive. We're not trying to erase the past. We're trying to build a better future for everyone." The wife stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We've worked hard to make this neighborhood a place where families can thrive, where kids can grow up feeling safe and supported. We want that for all of you too. But we also want to make sure that everyone, no matter where they come from, has the same opportunities we've had." The room was silent for a moment as the residents absorbed their words. Then, slowly, people began to nod. One by one, they started to share their own stories, stories of struggle, of hope, of dreams for the future. The atmosphere shifted, from one of tension to one of understanding and unity. By the end of the meeting, the mood had changed completely. The residents agreed to work together, to find common ground and build a community that honored the past while embracing the future. The couple felt a deep sense of relief and satisfaction. They had faced resistance, but they had also found a way to bring people together. Over the next few months, the neighborhood continued to grow and evolve. The couple worked closely with the residents, organizing events and initiatives that celebrated the area's diversity. They started a community garden where people could grow their own vegetables and flowers. They hosted cultural festivals, showcasing the traditions and cuisines of the different families who now called the neighborhood home. The community center became a hub of activity, with classes, workshops, and support groups for people of all ages. The couple made sure that everyone had a voice, that everyone felt like they belonged. They also reached out to local businesses, encouraging them to get involved and support the community. As the neighborhood flourished, the couple began to see the impact of their efforts. Families who had once felt isolated now had a strong support network. Kids who had struggled in school were getting the help they needed. The sense of unity and belonging was palpable, and the couple felt proud of what they had accomplished. But they also knew that their work wasn't finished. There were still challenges to face, still barriers to break down. They continued to advocate for fair housing practices, sharing their story with anyone who would listen. They also worked with local organizations to address issues like affordable housing and access to education. One day, as they were walking through the neighborhood, they ran into the realtor who had once refused to show them homes. She looked different now, smaller, less confident. She approached them hesitantly, clearly unsure of what to say. "I heard about what you've been doing," she said quietly. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. I was wrong." The couple nodded, accepting her apology but not letting it erase the past. They knew that her words were just that, words. Real change came from actions, and they had proven that through their own efforts. "We're not doing this to hurt anyone," the wife said calmly. "We're doing it to make sure that no one else has to go through what we did. This neighborhood belongs to everyone, and we're just making sure it stays that way." The realtor nodded, her eyes downcast. She had lost her place in the community, but the couple didn't feel any satisfaction in that. They had moved beyond anger and resentment, focusing instead on building a better future. As they continued their walk, the couple felt a deep sense of fulfillment. They had faced adversity, but they had turned it into an opportunity to make a difference. They had created a community where everyone was welcome, a place where families could thrive and dreams could come true. But they knew their work wasn't finished. There were still challenges to face, still barriers to break down. They were ready for whatever came next, knowing that they had the strength and determination to keep pushing forward. As they reached their home, they paused for a moment, taking in the sight of their neighborhood. It was a place of hope, of possibility, of unity. And it was theirs, not just because they owned the properties, but because they had poured their hearts and souls into making it a better place. They smiled at each other, knowing that they had turned a difficult chapter in their lives into a story of triumph, and as they stepped inside, they felt a sense of peace, knowing that they had made a difference, not just for themselves, but for their community and for the future. The neighborhood had become a shining example of what a community could achieve when people came together with a shared vision. The couple's efforts had transformed the area into a vibrant, inclusive space where families from all backgrounds felt at home. But as the community grew, so did the couple's responsibilities. They were no longer just homeowners, they were leaders, mentors, and advocates for change. One of the biggest challenges they faced was maintaining the balance between growth and inclusivity. As more families moved in, the demand for housing and resources increased. The couple knew they had to find a way to accommodate everyone without losing the sense of unity that had made the neighborhood so special. They started by working with local officials to address the issue of affordable housing. They proposed a plan to build new homes that would be accessible to families with lower incomes, ensuring that the neighborhood remained diverse and welcoming. They'd also partnered with nonprofit organizations to provide financial assistance and support to those in need. The couple's efforts didn't stop at housing. They'd recognized that a strong community needed more than just homes. It needed opportunities for education, employment, and personal growth. They expanded the programs at the community center, offering classes in everything from job skills to art and music. They'd also established a scholarship fund to help young people pursue higher education and achieve their dreams. As the neighborhood continued to thrive, the couple began to see the impact of their work in the lives of the people around them. Families who had once struggled to make ends meet were now thriving, thanks to the support and resources available to them. Kids who had once felt out of place now had a sense of belonging, surrounded by friends and mentors who cared about their future. But the couple's journey wasn't without its challenges. Not everyone was supportive of their efforts. Some critics accused them of trying to take over the neighborhood, while others questioned their motives. The couple faced these criticisms with patience and determination, always staying focused on their goal of creating a better community for everyone. One day, as they were walking through the neighborhood, they noticed a group of kids playing in the park. They stopped to watch, smiling as they saw the joy on the children's faces. It was moments like these that reminded them why they had worked so hard, why they had faced so many challenges and overcome so many obstacles. "This is what it's all about," the husband said, his voice filled with emotion. "Seeing these kids happy, knowing they have a chance to grow up in a place where they feel loved and supported, it makes everything worth it." The wife nodded, her eyes shining with pride. "We've come so far, but there's still so much to do. We can't stop now." The couple knew that their work was far from over. There were still families who needed help, still barriers to break down, still dreams to fulfill. But they also knew that they had the strength and determination to keep pushing forward. They had built a community that was stronger and more united than ever before, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they continued their walk, they passed by the community center, where a group of residents was gathered for a meeting. The couple stopped to listen, impressed by the passion and dedication of the people in the room. They realized that the neighborhood was no longer just their project, it was a shared effort, a collective vision that belonged to everyone. They stepped inside, joining the discussion and offering their support. The residents welcomed them warmly, grateful for everything they had done to make the neighborhood a better place. The couple felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that their efforts had made a real difference in the lives of so many people. But they also knew that they couldn't do it alone. They needed the support and involvement of the entire community to keep moving forward. They encouraged the residents to take ownership of the neighborhood, to share their ideas and work together to create a brighter future. The meeting ended on a hopeful note, with everyone feeling inspired and motivated. The couple left the community center feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but they also knew that they had the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle. As they walked home, hand in hand, they reflected on how far they had come. They had started their journey feeling hurt and frustrated, but they had turned those feelings into something positive. They had created a community where everyone was welcome, a place where families could thrive and dreams could come true. They smiled at each other, knowing that they had turned a difficult chapter in their lives into a story of triumph. And as they stepped inside their home, they felt a sense of peace, knowing that they had made a difference, not just for themselves, but for their community and for the future. Years had passed since the couple first moved into the neighborhood, and the transformation had been nothing short of remarkable. What was once a quiet, exclusive area had become a thriving, diverse community, a place where families from all walks of life could come together and build a better future. The couple had poured their hearts and souls into making the neighborhood a welcoming and inclusive space, and their efforts had paid off in ways they could never have imagined. The community center was now the heart of the neighborhood, bustling with activity day and night. Families gathered there for events, classes, and support groups, creating a strong sense of unity and belonging. The couple had worked tirelessly to ensure that everyone had a voice, that everyone felt like they belonged. And it showed in the smiles on people's faces, in the laughter of children playing in the park, in the sense of pride that filled the air. But the couple knew that their work wasn't finished. There were still challenges to face, still barriers to break down. They continued to advocate for fair housing practices, working with local officials and organizations to ensure that everyone had access to safe, affordable homes. They'd also focused on education, offering scholarships and mentorship programs to help young people achieve their dreams. One of their proudest achievements was the community garden, a project that had brought people together in ways they never expected. The garden was more than just a place to grow vegetables, it was a symbol of unity, a reminder that when people come together, they can create something beautiful. Families worked side by side, sharing stories and laughter as they tended to the plants. It was a place of connection, of healing, of hope. As the couple walked through the garden one evening, they couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. They had faced so many challenges, but they had also experienced so much joy. They had built a community that was stronger and more united than ever before, and they were proud of what they had accomplished. But they also knew that they couldn't have done it alone. The neighborhood was a shared effort, a collective vision that belonged to everyone. The residents had stepped up, taking ownership of the community and working together to create a brighter future. The couple felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that their efforts had inspired others to make a difference. As they reached the end of the garden, they noticed a group of kids playing nearby. The children were laughing and running around, their faces filled with joy. The couple stopped to watch, smiling as they saw the happiness on the kids' faces. "This is what it's all about," the husband said, his voice filled with emotion. "Seeing these kids happy, knowing they have a chance to grow up in a place where they feel loved and supported, it makes everything worth it." The wife nodded, her eyes shining with pride. "We've come so far, but there's still so much to do. We can't stop now." The couple knew that their work was far from over. There were still families who needed help, still barriers to break down, still dreams to fulfill. But they also knew that they had the strength and determination to keep pushing forward. They had built a community that was stronger and more united than ever before, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they continued their walk, they passed by the community center, where a group of residents was gathered for a meeting. The couple stopped to listen, impressed by the passion and dedication of the people in the room. They realized that the neighborhood was no longer just their project, it was a shared effort, a collective vision that belonged to everyone. They stepped inside, joining the discussion and offering their support. The residents welcomed them warmly, grateful for everything they had done to make the neighborhood a better place. The couple felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that their efforts had made a real difference in the lives of so many people. But they also knew that they couldn't do it alone. They needed the support and involvement of the entire community to keep moving forward. They encouraged the residents to take ownership of the neighborhood, to share their ideas and work together to create a brighter future. The meeting ended on a hopeful note, with everyone feeling inspired and motivated. The couple left the community center feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but they also knew that they had the strength and determination to overcome any obstacle.